Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 2643 Return Journey 1. The mechanical life form team is really strong. The team leader smiled wryly. They don't eat, drink, or sleep. As long as there's a power source, they can operate continuously. We helped them design the process in the early stages, but later they simply optimized it themselves to create a more efficient mode. We're only responsible for monitoring the parameters and, incidentally, reminiscing about Earth's spicy chicken and roasted lamb leg in our spare time. Don't mention food anymore. Someone nearby let out a humiliating wail. If I drink another packet of nutritional paste, I'll be completely drained of my energy. The food and water situation is all right. Another person continued. The water recycling system and emergency food reserves you left behind saved our lives. The water storage tanks in the planetary base have been operating continuously, and with the underground ice layer on Mars, we at least don't have to worry about running out of water. It's just that the food was so bad. After eating protein blocks, compressed biscuits, and nutritional capsules, everyone would subconsciously want to lick anything with a bright color. At this point, a group of adults nodded in agreement, seemingly still somewhat shaken. Zhang found it both funny and a little sad. Okay, I'm back. Let's have a snack right away. Zhang immediately led everyone onto the ship, took them to the restaurant, and then opened the alternate dimension to take out all kinds of delicacies. 8 years ago, the food that I first got from Walmart is still not finished. However, with the development of agriculture, animal husbandry, and other industries in the city, people were able to enjoy fresh meat, eggs, milk, and vegetables, so these reserves were rarely consumed. Bags of roast chicken and roast goose were taken out, microwaved, and the researchers' eyes quickly lit up with envy. The aroma of the food and the way the girls wolfed it down brought a genuine smile to Zhang Yi's face. After laughing, Zhang Yi stopped laughing and turned his gaze back to the mines and metal ingots. It was only then that truly realized how astonishing the value of the 2 years of silent mining on the Martian surface had been. The heritage of the inner world is the culmination of the sand-raiding civilization's technological refinement. The ores and refined metals before us are the flesh and blood of the Earth's wartime industrial system. The rich metallic mineral deposits within the Martian crust were originally only known through rough exploration reports and theoretical values. These mountain-like piles of ore and large metal ingots have now been transformed into tangible objects that can be touched. This is solid steel, the basic material that can be cast piece by piece into the hull of a warship, railgun barrels, shield frames, and armor frames. These gold, silver, and rare metals not only represent wealth, but also symbolize the foundation of a civilization and the strength of its industry. They represent how long they can hold out and how fiercely they can strike in the all-out war that is bound to break out next. Zhang Yi took a deep breath, his body slightly heaving as he wore his Taishu bathrobe. He raised his right hand and gently touched his fingertips. The sky above the mines in the Netherworld rift slowly tore open. Unlike the Netherworld passage through the Tower of the Underworld, this rift was extremely stable, like an open mouth or an inverted curtain of the abyss, slowly descending from above and covering all the mines and metal reserves beneath it. Under the combined effects of gravity locking and spatial stripping, the massive ore mass began to slowly lift off the ground. The entire base trembled slightly, as if Mars itself was startled by this scene. The towering pile of ore, as high as a mountain, appeared from the netherworld to be lifted up little by little from the ground by an invisible hand. Then, to everyone's astonishment, it floated upwards and was swallowed by the netherworld rift. Whenever a mine is completely submerged in the netherworld, a huge crater remains, exposing the texture of the mined rock strata. Those craters were so deep they could hold a medium-sized city, but in the next second Zhang Yi casually used Martian sandstorms and pre-made filling materials from the engineering team to level them, restoring them to a relatively smooth surface to prevent them from becoming destabilizing factors in the future. The metal ingots in the smelting chain area are processed more meticulously. With the assistance of mechanical life forms, steel and copper ingots are neatly arranged into a matrix, with each column secured by a special weight lock. Then, the entire assembly was packed into individual ghost gates, categorized and clearly marked, and then deployed in batches according to wartime plans after returning to Earth. Gold and silver were designated as separate areas. The gold and silver metallic blocks shone brightly against the backdrop of yellow sand, and the radiant light was so intense it made one's brain throb. Fatty Sue and Uncle Yu couldn't help but swallow hard as they looked at the golden scene. Although they all knew that these things would most likely be directly invested in the war economy after they returned, humanity's insatiable desire for gold still made their eyes burn with desire.
Zhang Yi didn't say much.
Silently noted down each tag, confirmed that all data had been entered into the Taishu Yukata's backup space, and raised his hand again. Gold, silver, and other rare metal crystals were gently swept away by the darkness of the netherworld. At this moment, in the database of the entire Mars planetary base, the resource entries that were originally marked as mined or reservoir were changed one by one to transferred. This is not a simple transfer. This is the Huashu Kingdom, a civilization on the verge of being besieged. During the 2 years that the world was being frantically squeezed, an extremely exaggerated accumulation was quietly completed on the seemingly silent Mars. Having obtained the technology of the Sand Raider civilization and the technology of the Ihen tribe left behind by the engineer, they now have the raw materials to realize the technology. Their return this time should be enough to raise the civilization level of Huashu Kingdom by at least 3 levels. Within 30 years at most, we will be able to surpass the Zongyuan clan and reach a level close to that of the Sand Raiders civilization. Zhang Yi spoke softly, his heart brimming with pride. At that time, Huashu Kingdom will stand tall among the myriad races of the world, becoming a great power, no longer a fish to be slaughtered. The last batch of mechanical engineering teams finished packing up the equipment. After integrating the data from the Martian surface, the entire planetary base was adjusted to a minimum operating mode, retaining only essential beacons and monitoring systems for future reuse. Zhang Yi took one last look at the planetary base. This place bears witness to our first tentative steps into the starry sky, an attempt by civilization to reach out and touch the world. Now, this hand has returned laden with spoils. We should take these spoils back and smash them in the faces of those who tentatively attacked our country. Board the ship. He turned around, his voice calm yet undeniable. Mars. Phase of the mission is complete. We are returning to Earth. The researchers cheered, their voices filled with the ecstatic joy of finally being able to return home after 2 years of being stranded in a foreign land. Chapter 2644 Return Journey 2. The 2.5-day journey to planet Lu has finally come to an end. Zhang Yi's command of return signals the end of this mission. They will return laden with spoils, bringing immense joy to the entire Huashu Kingdom. You turn to look at the desolate red ground that had returned to its former state, a complex expression in your eyes. That was the result of 2.5 months of hard work, but now it was all taken away by Zhang Yi in a short half-hour. They were incredibly excited and passionate. Because we all know that these things will only truly have meaning when they return to Earth. This will create a tremendous miracle. The Dreamer opened its hatch. As boarding ramps were lowered, members of the exploration team walked up in rows, while the mechanical life body engineering team followed in a standard formation. As the last person stepped into the cabin, the hatch slowly closed, the outer shield rose, the engine group emitted a deep roar, and the hull trembled slightly in the thin atmosphere of Planet N. Zhang Yi stood in the center of the bridge, watching the red planet, star, slowly shrink in his field of vision through a panoramic projection. The secrets of the world within the planet, the legacy of the Sand Snatcher, the mechanical kingdom under Eve's protection, and the theater that Freeman and Nasai chose to stay in, all lie buried deep within that planet. What takes away is everything that can take away. set the flight path. Destination: Hwashu Kingdom on Earth, she whispered. The dreamer quietly turned around. The engine flames burst forth in the void, and the streamlined hull transformed into an elongated streak of light. Carrying a bountiful harvest of ore, a steel reserve powerful enough to alter the course of a war, and the silent gains from the 2 planets of Bo, they marched back fiercely towards that blue planet that had endured too long under the shadow of war. As the dreamer slowly detached from the gravitational well of planet Bo, the entire ship, like a whale carrying the wealth of the entire planet, silently burrowed into the dark sea of stars. The vibrations on the bridge were so slight that they were almost imperceptible. What was truly heavy was the oppressive feeling in Zhang Yi's chest. A man sat in the captain's cabin, the light screen in front of him turning pages one by one. Those were accumulated letters sent from Earth. Some were sent a month ago, some a few months ago, and some were even sent just half a month ago. But it was all the reality that came crashing down on him. The first letter was from Hutu. This woman, who is usually not very talkative, uses the word concisely and restrainedly. She simply wrote down the movements of the surrounding ancient civilization over the past half-month, like a timeline. At that moment, the wolf riders of the Fong Wolf clan tentatively charged into the border radar line. At that moment, the heavily armored troops of the ironclad tribe set up projectiles on the wasteland and unleashed a barrage of rain of bullets towards the border of Hwashu. Which one? The atmospheric creatures of the Go tribe hovered above the clouds, casting shadows with their massive bodies, and circled over the border city before departing. Each one comes with battle damage data. Each entry is followed by the same note. Following your orders, we have only been on the defensive and have been closing our lines. We have not launched any offensives. Zhang Yi lowered his eyelids and slowly nodded. The Mongols aren't stupid. They know that without Zhang Yi, if they escalate the conflict, they will ultimately be devoured by the Ge family. A truly wise person will not be blinded by anger, because anger cannot make a person truly strong. On the contrary, it easily leads to destruction. The second letter was from Xiao Lai. Unlike Hutu, Xiao Lai's letter contained more emotion. The text describes in detail the experiences of several city-type cities in the northwest of the Hwashu Kingdom. Those cities were already included in the Hwashu Defense Zone and were only occupied by ordinary garrison troops and a small number of aliens. At first, it was just a supply convoy that disappeared, but later it was a remote town that was attacked at night by an unknown force. Later, a town was attacked at night by a combined force of the Fong Wolf clan and the Titan clan. The defensive towers on the city walls were smashed down with a single punch, and the entire city was engulfed in flames. The death toll is followed by a string of cold zeros. Xiao Lai wrote that had requested to launch an attack, even if it's just sending out a different unit as an advance force to teach the enemy a lesson. But every time, what came to mind was Zhang Yi's parting words, "Stay put, don't move." So he suppressed his anger and didn't make a move. "Chaos, I know you have plans." But the brothers were really feeling pent up. "If you don't come back, we'll keep getting beaten like this. When will it ever end? Chaos, are you still alive?" The text on the light screen trembled slightly towards the end, and Zhang Yi could sense that Xiao Lai had come to believe that was dead and was even somewhat desperate. Zhang Yi remained expressionless as he continued reading the letters behind him. She felt a surge of anger, but she knew that this was an inevitable consequence of the survival of the fittest in a world where the strong prey on the weak. The first letter is from Li Guangxiao, who comes from Donghai City. The situation at sea is even worse. After discovering that Zhang Yi might have died in space, the Zipan Kingdom, which had a life-and-death feud with, also began to stir. After all, one of the pillar gods of the Zipan Kingdom was indirectly killed by Zhang Yi. The fleet of the Zipan Kingdom patrolled back and forth outside the border, occasionally releasing sea monsters to probe the defenses. The country by the lake maintained a certain level of politeness on the surface, and even sent a few diplomatic letters with polite wording. Actions speak louder than words. The defense line of the East China Sea region is extremely long, and the newly rebuilt floating islands in the sea can often be seen as giant shadows rising from the distant sea. They are like sharks smelling blood. We are living in a state of high tension every day now. If you are still able to see this letter, I hope you will at least reply to a message so that we know you are still alive. The fourth letter was from Deng Shintong. Zhang Yi looked at it carefully, and what he was most concerned about was, of course, the situation in High City. The headquarters of a deity cannot afford any mishaps. The city buildings don't matter. The key issue is the talent gathered from all over the country. Even harming Zhang Yi would make him uncomfortable. Deng Shintong understood Zhang Yi's personality, so he spoke directly to Zhang Yi in both the daytime and noodles parts, and the noodles part was the same. A long string of letters. At first, they were relatively restrained, simply describing the situation objectively, analyzing the recent activity frequency of the various ancient Ming dynasties, and deducing that the Ming's probing period was almost over and that they would soon make a real big move. Later, began to feel anxious. Where exactly did you go this time? Are you up to something big again? Fine, you don't have to tell me. I'm too lazy to ask. But at least tell me if you're still here. Later on, the character began to carry the Bora. Go Hashi is not your toy. You told me to stay here, so I'll hold out. But if you die out there, at least leave us some last words. The last letter was only one line long. Zhang Yi, are you coming back or not? Here we end today's chapter. I hope you liked it. Kindly do also subscribe to my gaming channel. I have to Fina a way to survive. Thanks.
Alright, that's it for today's chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the Buzz Play Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises. Thank you.